Are you ready?
I guess. I don't know what you got in store for me, but as ready as I can be.
Well, first of all, let me say this. I've been listening to you guys for a very long time. I was fortunate enough to see your set at Inferno last year, and
Oh,
through the
cool.
and through that set, I was able to introduce my son to you guys because he had never heard of you before. And the dude hasn't shut up about that performance ever since. Especially when you went on and you're like, fuck, these pedals are not working. Fuck it, we'll just go without. And because that's totally rock and roll.
Yeah, when you do these fly-in shows, it's always the same. Usually something goes wrong in the first years of being a band. You like shit your pants about it every time, and then after a while you can't change the fact that, like, it's Murphy's law kind of situation. So when something goes wrong on stage, you either have the option to freak out and lose your shit and just, like, go down, or you just decide to go down in flames and just, like, drink some beers, have fun, because, like, what you said there in Norway, it was a good set. It was the end of a tour for us. We just been touring for a month with Miss Sugar before that, and it was just like, dude, like, I'm here to have a good time, just as you and your son. So that's what we did. Sometimes things don't work out as expected, and then you just got to go with the flow. You learn that after a few years, especially if you have such a strong DIY underground background. Not everything is perfect all the time.
But I think that attitude and the way you went about it, the way you guys went about it, it really impressed him. I mean, it impressed me, but it really impressed him because he's like, "Fuck, this is badass. I love these guys." You know what I mean? It didn't matter if
Well,
the sound wasn't perfect, but it was just the attitude that brought even more of a raw vibe to the sound that your guys already have, which is already pretty raw.
exactly. Best case scenario is always to watch Mantar to just come by, swing by the rehearsals, bring a bag full of beers, just sit down and just, like, get your face melted off and your ears blown off. But honestly, the sound was pretty much fine. I guess it was just me thinking, oh, this particular guitar pedal doesn't work. And I was like thinking, yeah, who gives a shit? Like, like there were like a few hundred people out there, and just like maybe one or two people even would hear the difference between that and that distortion pedal. Just like think, oh, fuck it, just go ahead. Funny thing about that particular show was, like, I was losing my shit and almost like shitting myself because, like, up to like 5 minutes before the set, our equipment was not there. Like my whole pedal board was gone because another band accidentally, like, benefit of the doubt, put it in their van when they left, and then, like, someone was, like, able to track that band down and get my pedal board back out of the
Oh.
truck of the other band. So literally 5 minutes before it started, we were standing there, had nothing in our hand but our beers. So considering that, everything went pretty smooth.
So now moving forward from that, you guys are releasing Post-Apocalyptic Depression. I love the title of the record. I gotta ask you, is this how you felt after the whole pandemic?
Yeah, fuck COVID. You know, it's way more about the general state the world is in, and it feels like post-apocalypse is pre-apocalypse. It's just like after is before and before is after. We're just like in this almost Nietzsche-esque never-ending circle of shit going on, and mankind refuses constantly to learn out of their own mistakes. We do not develop as mankind. It's just like we always, like, prone to make the same mistakes all over again. So it's kind of a cynical way dealing with this whole situation, and also with this girl on the cover art. uh just like there's a certain sadness in it, and post-apocalyptic depression. And maybe, what, I think people are so depressed nowadays, or like pretty much since day one. I don't know, but some people out there probably wish that maybe they are almost disappointed that the last shit show, the last pseudo apocalypse, was not the final one. They're almost disappointed that the world has not gone down in flames yet. I'm not saying I'm one of those, but it's dark times, and it's I don't know how to deal with it. With humor, with hate, with anger. I think we have enough hate and anger in the world already. So, that's my way to cope with that shit.
I think if you're gonna go down in flames, might as well have a laugh while you're at it. At least that's my attitude.
Dude, like, we're not gonna get it out of this life alive anyways, out of this world. So, don't take it too serious in the first place. I 100% agree.
Now, when I listen to this record, I mean, when I listen to any record from you guys, but specifically with this record, I totally got this live experience from the album. It was almost like you guys were playing in my living room when I was listening to it. Is that a result not just of the way you guys play live, but the way you approach the creative process that's always thinking about how the performance is going to be?
Well, first of all, surprise, we did in fact record it in your living room while you were on vacation. You didn't know.
When I
And
was in
it sounds
Norway,
say what?
when I was in Norway, after your set, you came over to my place.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we did. So, no, yeah, you know what? Like the previous album, The Pain is Forever and This is the End. It was a very successful album and critics loved it a lot, fans alike, but it was a total pain in the butt to make it. It was very, very difficult. It was in fact so challenging the band almost broke up over it. And we swore to each other as friends, most of all, never to go down that rabbit hole again. It's just like, hey, how and why did we start this whole project, the band Mantar? It's just like mainly we started this whole thing because we are friends, liking like to fuck shit up, just have a good time, just like, raise some hell in the rehearsal room and on stage. And we thought like, hey, maybe we should like concentrate on our real strength again. And that's how the band started out. Just like, just two people, almost no overdubs, live recording. And that's what we did. Like we rented this local studio here in Florida, run by a friend of mine. It's not much bigger than probably the room you're sitting in right now. And it actually looks and feels like a rehearsal room. So we didn't even bring our instruments. Like we wanted to like make the whole record so dangerous on purpose again and so raw that we did not bring any gear. We said like we're going to record this album with whatever gear we're going to find in that studio, just the way we started. Like, did you know we didn't even own a own backline until like 3 or 4 or 5 years being in the band? After we didn't even own a backline until we like played 3 US tours. Like, we just asked friends, hey, can you borrow me this cabinet? Can I play your amp or this and that? And then we was like, well, actually, this became our main job. Maybe we should buy our own shit, so but this time again, we just like, hey, let's see what happens. And there's barely any overdubs. We recorded this live. The vocals were done in my living room next door in my bedroom with a $45 microphone in my hand. Like, yeah, try to make it as punk as possible. And I think we did good. It suits the band very well, and it brings out the core strength of the band. Like you said, very one-dimensional in a good way, straight into your face. Uh, yeah, that's what we do. It's not about being heavy, it's about being intense. Heavy is easy, but intense, you got to commit to that.
It's the best 36 minutes of music you guys have ever made.
Dude, I kissing your heart, brother. That's very, very nice. And I would, a lot of, musicians just like bluff it off, but like hearing that means a lot to me because it was not like, I love to hear something like that with the previous record because it was such a shit show and such a pain and it was a horrible way to make an album. It took so long and it was so much hurt and whatnot. But hearing that from you, based on the fact that we did this album out of love for music and our friendship just within a few days, means even more because it proves that punk rock can do anything. No rules apply. And like if you put your heart to it, you can do whatever the F you want. It's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think for me, and I think it's going to resonate with fans of the band, specifically those that I have seen you guys live, is that when I listened to this album, I was transported back to what it meant to be at John D's at Inferno, seeing you guys perform. So for anybody who's seen the band live, this record is a flashback to whatever that performance was. And I think anytime you can have a record that allows the listener to be transported back to a great moment, you're always going to have a great record.
Well, I take that. Thank you very much. I have nothing to add. It's just like next time we're gonna hire you to write the bio, the biography, the press kit and stuff like that, because you really do know how to sell this album. Listen to this man, everybody.
Listen,
No,
I'm not getting a penny for it. I don't want a penny for it. I just really believe in the record and I really enjoy the record. I think it's a great album. And now that you're telling me all of this, it also brings some other questions because I thought, for example, the drum sound on this record is perhaps the best drum sound that you guys have
listen.
ever had.
And that's the funniest story. Like I said, we didn't bring our own gear, like nothing, not even drumsticks. So the drum set we found in that studio is this old 60s Ringo Starr Ludwig kit, like a 20-inch kick drum, super small toms, like a tiny ass snare. And all we did is just like set up a lot of room microphones and stuff like that, and to make it as sound as live and powerful as possible. And I agree, it's the best drum sound we ever had, hands down. I love it. Same with
Hands
the
down.
guitars. Usually I have these big rigs, as you saw, like live as well. I only found some like these 60s Fender combos, like it was like basically Dark Throne or Manowar playing through the backline of the Hives. It's just like all the 60s vintage gear. It was beautiful. It felt very organic, and just like one distortion, but there was like an old rat pedal line around, so I used that for distortion, and it was probably 12 or 13 main tracks to record the whole thing, like tracks in the Pro Tools session. And I agree. I like the drum sound. The snare sounds like a gunshot every time. And there's no artificial, no triggers or anything. It's just like pure mayhem.
I recorded already my review for the record, and one of the things that I mentioned on the review, and I mean this as a compliment, so I hope you guys don't take it as a diss. When I was listening to this album, the drum sound, the guitar sound, kind of took me back to some early stages of Sonic Youth. They had that same sort of vibe, that same sort of sound, and I was like, "Fuck! I haven't heard an album like this since I was listening to like Sonic Youth when I was a teenager."
Well, first of all, I take that as a big compliment because even though we have a big following in the classical like heavy metal scene, and we play a lot of those big metal festivals and metal press and whatnot, we musically have a very different background. That's what we did in 2020. We did this cover album in order to show where we're coming from musically. And there's like, on that cover album we have like Sonic Youth, we have Mezzy Star, we have the Jesus Lizard, which we adore, uh 7 Year Bitch, L7,
Elsa.
Mud Honey. That's what we grew up with, especially Reen. She's a couple of years older than I am, and when I was a teenager, I met him when I was 15. He made me all these mixtapes with all the sub pop stuff. We come more of the school of like you said, like noise rock and stuff like that. And then like we kind of pushed it to the edge. Like how heavy can we get? Because for me also obviously like black metal is a thing, but not this symphonic opera kind of black metal thing. I liked like early Dark Throne when they started to be black metal in the early 90s, because that for me was just like rediscovering punk rock. This middle finger salute, like no rules apply, do whatever the hell you want, record your album with a potato. It still sounds mean. It's beautiful. I love that. And if you combine that with this noise rock background, you pretty much get what Mantar is and defines Mantar. Plus, I'm a huge sucker. My two favorite bands in the world is AC/DC and ABBA. So like I like good pop songs. Like I like catchy songs. Like no matter how hard and heavy they are, they gotta for me gotta have a hook, like a melody that you're gonna remember and stuff like that. It doesn't matter if it's still brutal or it needs to be brutal, but I really like the concept of pop songs.
And you guys are able to do that. You're able to create songs that are heavy, raw, but man, the hooks, the chorus is really, it's like I'm listening to like a pop song, really, just with a heavy outlook around it.
That stuff I always liked about bands, like let's say Nirvana, for instance. Yeah, I'm a huge sucker for Nirvana. And just, they always had it down to write this heavy music, but in the end, like they made no secret out of the fact that they always wanted to write a pop song. I love that stuff. I love the Carpenters, for instance. Like, I love that kind of music a lot. I love Roxette, and that's what I grew up with. And if you mix that, with like some black metal and hardcore or whatever you want, you get where we are, I guess. And Arrange, for instance, like when we started being a band, that's the drummer. He didn't know nothing about metal music, not at all. I don't even know if he ever heard a black metal song in his life before that. He listens to like religiously to bands like Duran Duran and stuff like that. He's an 80s guy all over. So that's why he like always works with very simple drum beats and patterns. Like his drum set, he could play a show with just a kick drum, a hi-hat, and a snare, and it would be 90% the same. And
When
I say that as a compliment.
Yeah, yeah. When you look at the lyrics, how is it your approach? Because part of that hookiness of the chorus is the lyrics play a role in it because you have very, I'm not going to say simple, but really straight to the point, but memorable lines that add already to the memorable riff or the memorable sound. So, how is your lyric writing process?
Well, I call it rather primitive than simple because it's not simple. It's still not easy to do, but it is definitely primitive on purpose. The riffs are no rocket science, and neither are the lyrics. I have the song titles before I write the music and the lyrics. I have the song title first and then I write around it. Like, think about the opener, Absolute Ghost. I thought, that sounds cool. English language is beautiful, and I'm not a native speaker. I live in Florida for the last 10 years, but I migrated here from Germany. So for me, like English language, you can do whatever the hell you want with it. That's beautiful. You grew up with the English language as a part of pop culture. But like another song on the album, Church of Suck, I don't even know what that means, but it sounds great,
I,
you know?
I think a great title, two great titles, Morbid Vocation, because the first time I saw it, I thought it was Morbid Vacation. And I was
Yeah,
like, well,
also
that sounds
good.
interesting. And then it was Cosmic Abortion. I'm like, I know what the two words mean, but I'm not quite sure what they represent together.
Well, cosmic abortion is just very easy. It's about like I said before, it's about like mankind aborting themselves, like little by little. It's about that, and it's not that mankind only wants to wipe out itself. It's just like we're taking the whole planet with us, and if we could, probably the whole freaking universe. It's pretty freaking scary, and morbid vocation, that's like through the eyes of a mass murder, just like, hey, this is what I do. I kill people. Do you know how many people are out there who like kill people on a very professional basis in manner that are never going to
Professional
get
basis, I
caught?
never heard that those words relating to a serial killer, but those are very accurate.
Yeah, a lot of serial killers are not like out there and they're not getting caught or anything. They're just like, that's what they do. It's a morbid vocation. It's just like they decide who's like deserves to live and who don't. It's pretty like not based on a political agenda, not based on a religion, not based on an idea. Well, I mean, we got enough murder and death based on that, but like mass murders, they only kill for ego. And that's pretty scary. They only kill to feel like God in the first place, and that's nothing else but a morbid vocation.
When I'm in the gym and I'm halfway through my set and I need that little extra boost to get me going, I always play Hang 'em Low so the rats can get 'em. But I'm going to be honest with you, lately I've been playing Rex Perverso because I feel like I can get into an extra gear.
It's so funny. I just had another interview with a guy from Scotland, I think, or somewhere over there, and he said exactly the same thing, that that's his new soundtrack for the gym. It's especially funny if you consider how little of like gym guys Irinch and I are. But like, so we did not have that in mind, but it's a good thing to hear that it gives you power and strength, and yeah, Rex Perverso, also very simple or like primitive song with it, very one-dimensional, but it's another classic. We wanted to do an album, like I said, it's 12 songs and 35 minutes or something like that. We skipped all the BS. We threw everything out that didn't serve any purpose. We like in the studio while recording, we just throwing whole parts out, just like, or whole songs for that matter. It's just like, I don't feel, yeah, this song is way too long. Throw it out. Let's do it. And then we literally wrote another song on the spot. None of the songs of the whole album took longer than 30 or 45 minutes to write the whole thing.
Wow.
To record, mostly less.
Wow.
So that's what you're hearing.
This is, I'm sure you know this, this is the shortest album you guys have ever released in terms of an overall length.
Thank God. And with like 12 songs on it. We only had like 12 tracks on another album. I think that was the third one. The yeah, I don't know, like one second or third, I don't know. And the first song wasn't even a song, it was just an intro. It was the modern art of setting a place. I think that had 12 tracks on it, but it was not 12 full songs. And yeah, we had like about 20 songs, and some of them we just like threw away because, like I said, we only wanted to have the good stuff on it. And the whole reason why this album happened, we didn't want to do a fifth album in the first place. We just really didn't plan on doing so. We we just went to the studio here in order to have some sort of spiritual healing to recover from making that last album. So we met in Florida and just said like, hey, let's concentrate why we started all this in the first place and let's get into the studio and record some cover songs. So we did some cover versions of GBH, Wire, I think New Bomb Turks, stuff like bands like basically punk stuff we really like. And like sparked by that, we were just like, hey, this is so much fun. We should write a few songs, simple stuff ourselves real quick. And before we knew, we had another album.
But the beauty of it, I think there's two aspects of having 12 songs on 35, 36 minutes that really works. On one hand, for an album that has this raw nature to it, having that short amount of time to listen to it, it actually gives it playability because it doesn't bored the listener. It doesn't overstay its welcome. So when you get to the end of the record, you're ready to go back again to the beginning. And the second aspect of it, we live in an era where people don't have a very long attention span. So
No.
36 minutes is pretty much on the spot.
Dude, 100%. And like I said, we come from the school of punk records, you know? Like, first of all, no band in the entire world probably should make 5 albums, you know? Guilty. So, and no, none of these albums should be very long, you know? I like it when they're quick and dirty. Big fan, you know? I liked always like punk records that were like under 30 minutes. We tried to aim for that. We didn't succeed there, but 36, 35 minutes is still okay. Um, I feel the same, by the way, about live shows. You know, now having made 5 records, people expect you to play 90 minutes. Guys, we're not Aerosmith or Bruce Springsteen. Like, this is not what we do. Like, if we play 1 hour max, that's more than enough for me. You know, honestly, it's more about quality than quantity. You know, I just really I like to play a live show in the manner and fashion that people are done afterwards, that they have to go home. Like, you know, if the people are not completely messed up after 60 minutes, I made something wrong.
I'm totally with you on that. I got one last question for you, which is touring. Are you guys now with the album coming out February 14th on Metal Blade Records? Are you guys planning some North American shows?
Well, we always try to play like a little bit of North America every year. Like I think in 2022 we played like Northwest Terror Fest in Seattle. 23 we played New York Desert Fest. Uh, Last year we played Full Terror Assault. I think together with Suffocation in Illinois somewhere. It's on time, man. Most of all, it's on time to return to Canada. Like
Yeah.
we haven't been there in a long ass time.
Toronto needs you guys.
Dude, like we once played like that was our first Canada show ever. We did Heavy Montreal and that was so nice. The people were so kind. It was so beautiful. And then we played also like the Modified Ghost Festival.
Mhm.
Um yeah, we got to come back Toronto. It's on. We got to make it happen, I guess. So why don't you look like a guy with a lot of friends. Talk to a few people and let's make it happen.
I will. I'll talk to the local promoters and I'll pass the word that they have to book you guys up here. I think it's a must.
Well, I agree, sir. You know, the thing is though, like the older we get and the longer the band is around, I have the same thing. I I really not keen on touring. I love playing music with my friend and I love performing on stage, but I will never understand why people get a kick out of being away from home for like 180 days a year and constantly touring and stuff like that. I hate touring, hands down. I like playing to the people. I like meeting people and stuff like that. And being on stage for an hour is also great, but the remaining 23 hours just playing like simply suck. Like I hate traveling, I hate flying, I hate riding in the train, car, all that. So we try to like keep the amount of shows we play a year less and less. Because like I'm aware of the fact that the band could be way bigger, especially in North America, but that means you have to do at least 2 or 3 full tours a year in
Mhm.
order to cover the whole market. Dude, no chance in hell. Absolutely not. That's as much realistic as me becoming a brain surgeon.
Well, you guys were the highlight of Inferno last year for me and my son. That
Thank you.
performance is memorable for the ages. We'll be talking about it. So I'll do my best spreading the good word around these parts, and hopefully you guys get to play some shows here. I would definitely would love that. And thank you for your time, man. This was a blast.
Well, Pedro, thank you very much. Thank you for your time, your interest, and your questions, and for being a cool dude and being a fan. I appreciate that. Thanks for your kind words. It means a lot. So, thanks for your time, and yeah, go check out the album, February 14th, Post-Apocalyptic Depression, Metal Blade Records. It might be the last one. Who knows? Enjoy
The,
while it lasts.
the pre-order link will be in the description of the video. See you, man. All the
Cool.
best.
Take care, buddy. Bye.